Hey guys, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. It is Sat Chat time. How's your week going? I hope it's been a good one. The weather has been really nice up here in Maine. I guess probably all throughout the Northeast, although it might be hot actually. Well, a friend from Pennsylvania said that it was like in the 80s where she was. So I was like, whoa, that's probably a little bit tough to get used to coming right out of like kind of cold weather. We're rolling. Okay, good. I had to double check there. All week I've been, it's one of those weird, another one of those weird weeks where, it's a molasses week. Let's just say it's a molasses week. And, I have to thank you guys last week I asked you if you would like to see kind of how I was organizing and, labeling everything, just kind of like, I don't want to say reorganizing because I'm pretty organized over in the storage area. If you wanted to see like the old craft space and as it is now storage, it's not that different actually. It's just less, like I used to have my markers over there, so I would have like an aesthetic backdrop, so it's very utilitarian over there, but it's pretty much the same. So since you said you wanted to see the labeling and reorganization and stuff like that, I decided to go a little deeper and do a little better of a job. So I'm still working on that because I think honestly I would have just labeled stuff and called it a day if I wasn't doing a video. But so I'm like, well, I got to give them something to see. I got to give them something good, something like stuff I would just kind of like, meh, it's fine. That drawer of those many drawers of random supplies are just fine the way they are. But it's like, no, I got to be a good example. I got to get rid of the random drawers, and I've got to like put like with like, and those, it's like the junk drawers. I had a few too many junk drawers over there. So thank you. You inspired me to be better. I'll probably finish up filming that on Sunday because it's supposed to rain this weekend. We got a doubleheader tomorrow. The doubleheader last weekend, the girls won both games, so I was so glad for them because they're a team that's kind of young and their school's not super big and it's not like a really athletic focused school, so they take their share of beatings on the field, so it was nice to get some wins under the belt, and they had a win last night under the lights, so they felt really good about that. And they've got a double header tomorrow, so I'm hoping that it doesn't rain until after the game is over. I think they're just gonna make it too, because I think it's supposed to rain around 3, and I think their last game is at 1, so they should be able to get that game in before it rains, so that'll be nice. The team that's traveling down is traveling down from Presque Isle, so it's like 2 hours. So, if they're gonna make the trip, then they gotta play because, that's a whole day. So we'll be going to that tomorrow, but then Sunday it's supposed to rain, so I think that will be a great day to finish up the organizing over there. And I haven't looked at the video itself, but I looked at all the files that I've taken, and I have about 45 minutes of footage, and I'm gonna have to go through and see if there's anything I can get rid of, because I did narrate everything that I filmed, because like when I thought I had something good enough to share, I turned on the camera and talked about it. But there was an incident where I was trying to assemble some cube shelves, which was going fine until I hit the camera, turned the camera on, then it turned into like a how not to assemble cube shelves. Man, I was like the biggest klutz. As soon as the record light's on, it's like, what are shelves? What are connectors? How do I do this? What is life? Don't watch this video. But it's looking pretty good over there. I think that I think what I've been really craving is just a change of scenery, because I love this room. I love the heated room. I cannot tell you how life-changing it is to have heat in your workspace, but I've definitely got the cabin fever, and this week being so beautiful, every day I've been like telling myself, okay, if I get done work early enough, I'm going to go kayaking. If I get done work early enough, I'm going to go kayaking. So Monday I said that to myself, and I was getting ready to film Critique Club, and I had this painting that I was going to do, and it was like an Adirondack chair on a dock looking over a peaceful pond, and there was pretty clouds in the sky, and so I'm like, and I'm gonna use the good paint and gonna use the good paper. I'm gonna use my 100% cotton paper, and I'm going to use my M-gram watercolors, my big palette. I'm gonna bring that out, because usually I use smaller tins because it's easier to film with smaller tins to keep everything in frame. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna use the good stuff. And it was so, I think I put so much pressure on myself, because I'm like, I'm using the good stuff. I want this to be so good. It's for a critique club. These people are paying to see it. And, it was bad. It just, and I should know better, because I rushed the drawing because I couldn't wait to start painting. And I'm like, oh, something's not quite right about it, but I'll fix it when I get around to painting. I'll fix that. I'll nudge things into place. And Adirondack chairs are kind of at weird angles. and it was like a 3/4 view from the back of it. So you just have to be off a little bit on one leg or one, you know, slat on the back of it, and it's going to look weird. And then it's on a dock with there's 1 point perspective because, you know, it's getting thinner as it goes out. It's not, but that's what it looks like. And then you've got the parallel boards, which aren't really parallel because of the angle of the dock and where the photographer is shooting from. So anyways, this poor Adirondack chair, and I put a book with a glass of wine on the book, and that actually came out perfectly. I did that out of my imagination. That part came out perfectly. And I'm thinking, the poor person's going to sit down in that chair to read and have a glass of wine. They're going to be sliding right into the pond. It was bad enough. Like, I know. I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to come back and I'm going to put some gouache on there. And it went from bad to worse. It was like, if I had a bird, it would be in the bottom of their cage right now. It was so bad. So I thought, well, maybe I'll put it on my easel, and when I come back, it'll be beautiful. Because you know that happens sometimes. You do a painting, you're like, I don't know. You put it on your easel, you walk away, you come back the next day, and you're like, oh, it actually looks pretty good. The painting fairies have visited me, and the little shoemaker elves have come and fixed my painting. They must have been their day off because it did not look better. And so finally I'm like, and I took my Dollar Tree metal ruler, I tore it into 4 pieces and stuck it in my scrap envelope where I put paper to test. I have some nice cotton paper to test test swatches on. But so it was pretty. I was beating myself up pretty bad about that. I don't know. I was in just a bad headspace. I was just frustrated. I'm like, not only did I waste a beautiful 70-degree sunny day, I didn't do anything outside, and what I did in here didn't turn out. So I was very frustrated with myself. And then the next day, I don't even remember what I did. I think it was mostly computer stuff the next day, and I had it was senior night actually, for my son's tennis team because he's a senior, and so I wanted to make sure that I was presentable and not looking like a scary hobo like I usually do when I'm working in my studio all day. Oh, I did. I worked on the reorganization because I thought maybe if I get that organized, I'll organize my brain, and then I can come back here and, you know, do something good for Critique Club. By the way, this is what I ended up doing for Critique Club. So the real-time version of this is up now, actually. If you're a member, you can check that out. The time-lapse will be on Sunday, and so you can, if that's what you're interested in, that will be up on YouTube tomorrow. So anyway, yes, so we had senior night. That was really nice because we were there before the matches started, and they, you know, had flowers for the senior moms and like thank you cards for the senior dads, and it was just nice. And it's just like, holy cow, these kids, some of the kids that were up there, like Jackson had been in school with them since they were little tiny tots, you know, and it's like, oh my word, they're going off to college, they're going off to start their lives, they're all grown up. It's just crazy. It's crazy. And it was just, you know, so there were a lot of people staying to watch the game, senior parents. And although I didn't know all of them because we live in a small town, we don't have our own high school. So you have the choice of like 5 different high schools you can go to. So it's like so all the schools have kids from different towns. And you know, so I don't know all the parents, but it was just nice, you know, just to hang out outside. You don't have to wear your masks outside anymore if you're fully vaccinated, which is nice. I think you didn't have to, as long as you were in your own bubble before, as long as you weren't 6 feet within another family. But now it's like if you're vaccinated, it's all right. So it's just it just feels like the world has let out a big sigh of relief. So that was nice. And then Wednesday, I managed, I'm filming this on Friday, it's 1:16 in the afternoon. I'm like, what is a week? What is a day? I don't know. So then Wednesday, I'm like, okay, I've got to get the Critique Club thing filmed. And on Mother's Day, my sister invited me down to take Mom to this antiques mall. It's called Cabot Mill Antiques. It's in Brunswick. It's this big old mill that's right on the water, and they turned it into a antique store and flea market. And there's also like there's a wonderful restaurant in there, which was actually only for takeout, so we couldn't go there. We were gonna go there for lunch, but we couldn't because it was not open. But when I was looking around, I saw a little mason jar with spools in it, and I took a picture of it. I'm like, that's really cool. And then I was like, wait a minute, I got spools, I got a mason jar, so I made my own still life. Whoa, go me! Give it my some. I made a still life, and I used that for the subject matter. But that's where the inspiration came from. So it was good to open my eyes and get just some fresh scenery because I have been. I think cabin fever, I need to get out. But then it's like, it's hard justifying just going out. I don't know, going for a drive or anything, because it's just like, well, if I don't have a purpose, you know, I'm just somebody that's just so practical that like I need a purpose. It doesn't seem like I'd be a practical person, but I'm like, I need a purpose to do this. I can't just go do that for fun. I mean, for fun, you know, what's that? And then so Wednesday I was like, okay, if I get done my critique club project early, then I'm gonna go kayaking. And then I sit down, look at my schedule, and I realize I have a call to test out my equipment with Michaels, because I'm doing that class next week at michaels.com. This is the project. You can sign up, it's free. And this uses Inktense pencils and Inktense pans and watercolor paper. I'm using the Strathmore Ready Cut. You can use what you have, you know, that watercolor pencils, watercolors. If you have the Inktense products, that's great, but if you don't, then, you know, use what you have. And there will be a replay on the Michaels YouTube channel the following day, and then on their, they'll have it posted on their website under past classes. But if you go, I'll put a link in the video description, or you can go to michaels.com and just look at upcoming classes, and it's the May 26th class, so you can find that. And I'm looking forward to that, and all the equipment went really well. Everything worked fine, but I think because once I saw that I had that on my schedule at 3, I just had a really hard time getting started on my project. I was kind of like not sure if that's what I wanted to do, if I wanted to do the jar of spools. I was just kind of like nailing down what do I want to do. Just like decision fatigue, having a really hard time buckling down and choosing a project, choosing a subject. It's like, well, I want to make sure I'm doing something that I'm really interested in, because I don't want another Adirondack chair incident. And anyway, then gets to the point where it's like, you got to pick something because you got to get it done. And so that's what so I finally like, okay, I got to do this. And that was after, I actually didn't even start painting that till after my call. So the day was done. And I was happy with the way it came out, but I was a little kind of like bummed that I hadn't wisely spent my time that day prior to the call. And well, I mean, I did computer stuff. It's not like I didn't do anything, but you know, you just know when you're not being super productive, and then you feel bad for not being super productive. Then it's harder for you to get started on something else. It's just a vicious cycle. So yesterday, I was, you know, walking the dog, and I met up with one of my neighbors, and we were walking. I'm like, I want to go kayaking today. She asked me if I got kayaking yesterday. I'm like, no, I didn't, but I'm hoping that I will be today if I get my work done early. And then I'm thinking, what do I really have to do today? I'm like, I'm going to go kayaking first, and then if I have time after I'm done, get my kayaking done, then I'll go to work. But so, you know, I know, privileged. I'm very privileged to be able to choose that. So I got back from walking the dog, and I threw kayak and a paddle in the back of the truck, and off I went. And like literally, I have a little bit of a sunburn on my arm. I got to hand it to Olive Olay Complete Moisturizer. This is not sponsored, but I put that on my face and neck before I walked the dog yesterday, and didn't give it another thought. And I took off, I had a t-shirt on too, and I went kayak for a couple hours. I came home, my arms actually, they don't even look that bad. They were just a little pink, but that was 3 hours in the sun. I know it's horrible. And not a bit of pink on my face or neck from that, just the SPF 15 and the Olay Complete Sensitive. It's a sensitive formula. And I tried that on kind of a whim because I was at the grocery store and I needed some lotion, and they didn't sell the Pond's Regenerist that I usually used. And I was like, well, I just didn't want to get something, I didn't want to buy a whole bottle of something and to just buy the Pond's in like another week. So I'm like, well, I'll get an SPF because I do need an SPF sunscreen for outdoors. And so I just grabbed that, and it's worked out really well. And it certainly has quite a lot of sunblock power. If I was out for 3 hours yesterday, I didn't get any sort of pink on my face at all. So I'm not prone to sunburning. I'm not somebody that gets like awful sunburns or blisters or anything like that for as light as I am. My parents didn't either. My sister doesn't. So I think it might be genetic. But I still don't want to get skin cancer or wrinkles or anything. But so anyway, I did go kayaking, and it was lovely. Didn't have bug spray. Thank goodness it was a little breeze, because like I didn't remember sunscreen, bug spray. I didn't even have a bottle of water. I was just like, peace out, friends. I'm off to the pond. I guess if it got that bad, I could just scoop up some water. I mean, you know, Montezuma's revenge. I don't know. So, oh yeah, so this is what I brought with me. I grabbed this, didn't bring a water bottle, but hey, priorities. So this is actually brought this with me to Freeport when I took not Freeport, I keep saying Freeport, Farmington, when I took the kids down to do their SATs. And it's a Stillman Birn sketchbook, and I really like the sketchbook. This is the Stillman & Birn Beta Series mixed media sketchbook. So it's not watercolor paper, but it really does watercolor really well. And I've almost got it full. Look at that, it's almost full. I keep it in my summer travel bag, so it only gets used in the summer. So I don't know, was it 2019 I started this one? 2018? Did I date anything in here? I think it was about the time the girls started high school. 2018. Yeah, 2018. It was like summer 2018. So it's been 3 years. I started this 3 years ago. So, I mean, I didn't get any great sketching done because I was in a moving kayak, but I was sitting on you probably can't even tell what this is, but I was sitting on the top of this log that was in the water. Because I hopped out of the kayak a few different places along the shore because there's a trail that I like to walk at the Audubon Sanctuary. And if you keep walking of it, it takes you out to Brewer Lake, and there's a beautiful little beach there. And I was wondering if I could kayak through there, but apparently there's a dam in there somewhere. So I couldn't get all the way over there, but so I would just kind of hop off at different places. But I was sitting on this big log that was just kind of like the branches had broken off or been cut off, and it was just kind of laying in the water. And so this would be the water, and this is where I was sitting. So actually it's more like that. Or is it? I was sitting here, there's my little Crocs, and looking down at the branches in the water. And did a quick sketch there, like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then I did one just kind of floating around in my kayak next to another little inlet. I've never used the color sheets in the kayak before, I don't think. And it was a little cumbersome to try to flip between colors because you don't have everything all out in once. So I am going to go back to the portable painter. But I had that in the truck, and I'm just like, we're gonna make it work. And I had a little rainbow pencil, no pencil sharpener though, or I didn't even have a pocket knife. So I need to remember to have a pocket knife or a sharpener or something. Probably a pocket knife because I'm sure I would lose a sharpener if I brought that up with me. Plus then I'd have I'd have shavings either way, but it's wood, so. It's a nice little pencil. It's from Japan. It says it's made in Japan. Camel is the maker. I know of the Camel of the Indian watercolor brand, but it's a nice pencil. It's really soft, very pigmented, fun to play with, fun to sketch with. You just need to sharpen it. You got to remember a sharpener or a knife, which I did not have, but that was a nice way to spend a good portion of yesterday. I actually saw a loon. I was wondering if I was going to see loons because I've seen loons out there before. And when I was, because I was paddling, and there's an area that's really just full of cattails, but they haven't popped up yet. So it's just kind of dry and reedy right now. And so I was paddling through there, and I even saw fish. I'm not sure what kind of fish, but they were big because I heard them splash to get a bug, and I paddled over, and they're these fish are that big in the water. They weren't sunfish. I don't know if they were. I don't know if we have bass in that pond, but it was a pretty good sized fish. Anyway, so I was looking to see if the loons were around anywhere. Generally, you're only going to have 2 loons on a pond. They have to have so much territory in order to survive, I guess. And they, so you're not going to find a bunch of loons on any one pond or lake. Sometimes you'll see a lot in the mouth of a river. So if you go to Belfast and there's a little walking trail, certain times of year you'll see a bunch of loons there. I don't know if it's mating season and the big loon nightclub there. I don't know, but you will see several loons there sometimes. But on ponds, generally, it's just a pair, if that, maybe a pair and babies. But when I was kayaking in the reeds, because there's kind of gaps in between the big clusters of reeds, I heard a big splash, like a water bird, and I thought, I wonder if that was a loon. And then when I was leaving that area, I was kind of paddling to go home, a loon popped up, probably maybe 6 feet from me, from the kayak, and I tried to get a picture, but I couldn't. My phone was even in the little phone dock in my kayak, and I couldn't get to it quick enough. All I got is a picture of the lake because it went underwater as soon as I clicked it. But that was nice. And I also saw some, I think it's called red-winged blackbirds, and they look like they're smaller than crows. They look about the same size as a blue jay, but they're all black. But when they fly, they have these big bands of red on their kind of armpit feather area. So that was neat. There's tons of those, and they were so noisy. It was just nice. It was nice to be somewhere where I couldn't see anything man-made. I'm just listening to the sound of the birds. I didn't have any distractions. It's just what I needed. It's just what I needed. So that was a lovely afternoon excursion, and yeah, that's about it. I got cards out to the shop this week. That's probably one of those I did a lot of puttery things. I'm not feeling very inspired, or I'm having a hard time getting started on stuff. I do a lot of puttery projects, packaging up cards that I've made, or cleaning, or just like things like that. When I just don't like, I don't know what to do. I'm not feeling creative. I don't know where to start. You know, I think everything I posted this week was recorded well in advance. So it's just one of those like, so I haven't felt like I've done anything because everything has been pre-recorded. So I don't know. I think definitely totally distracted by the weather. And what made me kayak yesterday was that I'm like, it's going to rain this weekend, so I can work Sunday. I don't have to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. There's no law. I mean, I work for myself. I can work on the weekends instead, or in addition, or in the evenings. But, you know, I also went to the library yesterday. I've been telling myself the last 2 weeks I need to get to the library because now they're open again for people to come in and browse. Because before, you could either make an appointment to go in and browse for 15 minutes, or you could do the call ahead and they would have like the curbside. And I just wanted to browse. I didn't know what I wanted to read. I mean, you guys left some really awesome suggestions. I should have written them down and brought the list with me. I did download one of the suggestions. I downloaded the audiobook so I could listen when I walked. It was called The Dirty Life, and it was about this journalist who kind of chucked her career and went to, well, I mean, she obviously wrote a book, so she didn't completely chuck her career, but she went to be a farmer. And I know that's not the life for me, but it's been an interesting listen so far. Oh, and so I'm listening to that. And I took this was last weekend. I downloaded that. It was after a Sat Chat. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look for that. So also when somebody recommends a book, I just go to the cloud library and I see if my library has it for download. And so I'm like, oh, they only had the audiobook. So I'm like, well, I'll grab that because I can listen to it when I walk. And so I was walking the dog and went down to the ball field. And on the weekends, because the school's closed, I let the dog run around the baseball field because you can completely enclose it. But somebody took the gate off of the side fence. And so it was heavy. I couldn't, like, they took it right off the gate, right off the pins. So there was like this big gap, and I'm like, I can't lift that. I can't even drag the gate across to cover the gap. So I saw some chairs. So I put these chairs across, and I thought, okay, that'll be fine. My dog's going to be so interested in running around that she's not going to try to escape. And the dog looks right at, I don't know why. It's like she had me in a trance. She's looked at me and she went right underneath the chairs. And I'm like, oh man. And she went right into the woods, and I could just hear splish, splash in the mud puddles. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, so that was the end of listening to the audiobook. I had to listen for the dog. And I'm like, oh, come on back, Penny, come on back. And of course she is just like, nope, you know, I am living my best life, YOLO. So she's in the woods, playing in the mud. And I'm like, come on, Penny, let's go walk the trails. Let's go walk the trails. Because it's cross-country trails we walk most days. And so I went to the cross-country trails. I'm just like, I hope she comes out. Because I'm like, otherwise I'm going to have to go home. And I'm sure she'll show up. But I don't really, you know, it's not very responsible. Pet ownership. So I'm walking down the trails. And I'm like, come on, let's walk the trails. Let's walk the trails. And she comes out. And I'm like, oh, good, she's coming out. And she's looking at me. I could just tell she's about to bolt. So I scooch down. I just kind of squatted down on the ground. And I started talking to her in a really calm, low voice. And then she like kind of perked her ears up. And then she came over, and then I was able to hook her, and we went home. And she had the bath of shame on the front yard because she was so muddy. Plus she hates taking a bath. And if I brought her inside, she would have hightailed it upstairs into my bed and to hide from the bathtub. So I just brought her a big bucket of warm, soapy water and gave her a bath car wash style in the front yard. And so I don't know if she gets the cause and effect, like, oh, I play in the mud, I have to have a bath. I run away from mom, I don't get to go to the field to run around anymore. So I don't know. I don't know why they would have taken that gate down unless like kids were messing with it or slamming it or something during baseball games. I don't know. That's kind of a bummer because now I can't let her run, and she loves to run. She's so fast. She's like a greyhound practically. How much time do we have? We have a couple minutes. So yeah, so that's a bummer. And also, if I can just let her run, then, you know, I can like sit in the sun and be lazy. I usually walk laps around the baseball diamond, but while she's running. But it's just, she loves it. And I can throw a ball for her, and she can, you know, she can just run. I can't let her run in the backyard because we don't have a fence, and she would be gone in like a flash. She's such an opportunistic little dog that she'll eventually come home, but it's like, I don't want her running out in front of, I don't know if she'd run in traffic because she is kind of afraid of vehicles, so she probably wouldn't run into traffic, but people don't know that. They see a dog on the side of the road, they're going to be nervous, and they're going to stop and whatnot. And ticks, oh my gosh, ticks have been so bad this year. Luckily, I've only seen dog ticks, but I was recording a voiceover this morning it was actually for Critique Club, for Sketchbook Sunday rather, and I'm like, I'm feeling something on my neck. I'm like, what is that? You know, I'm like, oh, I feel something. That's weird. I'm thinking it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I think it is, like a thread or something. You know, like sometimes you do your laundry and you get like this little ball of like linty thread or something, and I'm like, what is that? Then I'm like, oh my God, I start squealing. Oh my God, it's a tick, it's a tick. I start like freaking out. I'm like, okay, that tick's done. And the dog's like freaking out, and like Lila comes running up the stairs like, Mama, what's wrong? Someone broke into the house. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. She came to save her mama. But no, it was just a tick, and I gave it a burial at sea. So, I mean, I don't like to harm any creatures, but ticks can be nasty and they can carry Lyme disease, and so I didn't want to just throw it out so it can get picked up on another animal. You know, nobody's perfect. So that's it, and then that's this week in a nutshell. I don't really have anything new to report. That's pretty much it. nothing that terribly exciting. Anything, I'm gonna go back outside and read some books. So I got 3 like kind of mystery thrillers. I don't really know much about any of them. Actually, one book I picked up just because I've heard so many people say great things about it. I really don't know what it's about. It's called something like Where the Crawdads Sing, I think is the title of it, but it's got great reviews, so I'm like, yeah, what the heck, I'll grab that. And I grabbed Gone Girl, which is in the large print section. That was its big selling point there, because I do like me a large print book. And then the librarian, there was a new librarian there, and I told her I like thrillers, and she's like, this is a thriller, and so I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I checked that one out as well. Maybe it's great. I don't know anything about the author, or I don't know about anything about any of these books. So, perfect. So I think I might go sit outside in the shade and read for a bit, because YOLO! YOLO, just like the dog taught me something valuable in life. YOLO. Go play in the mud. Go get some ticks. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Let me know what you're up to in the comments below. I'd love to chat with you. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye!